So first things first, let's go ahead and talk about PSDs because I feel like PSDs are more common to use, especially for beginners within After Effects. So you may be using PSDs for a myriad of reasons. For an example, maybe you're doing something for a logo, or maybe you're trying to composite your shots in. A lot of people use PSDs in their After Effects workflow. So let's just take a look at how you would import those and some of the different options you have when importing those things. So I'm going to double click into the project media panel, and I'm going to import a PSD here called the new MacBook Pro, and I'm just going to import it in. And right when you import it, you have a few different options here. You have import kind, footage, composition, and retain layer sizes. Now some of these options here are pretty straightforward, such as merge layers, which is going to just combine layers together, or choose a specific layer that you want to import from that PSD. These are all straightforward. But when you import a kind set to footage, it's going to import your PSD as just a plain piece of footage. It's going to pretend that it's just another image or another flat movie file, and it's just going to import it as something plain that you would see in your composition panel. So nothing fancy here. This is probably the least amount of options you have. Now you can actually set the import kind to composition, and that's going to give you a few different options here. Now when you import kind as composition, it's going to import your PSD as if that PSD was a pre-made composition. So it's going to be its own composition here, and we can set it to editable layer styles, so we can go back and refine those layer styles because After Effects also has layer styles. Or we can just merge layers into a single footage, and that's just going to flatten everything out and just put it into a new composition. And of course, composition, retain layer sizes, does the exact same thing, except it's going to retain the layer size. And again, you can read more about it in the description right here. Most of the time I select composition, and that's just going to import the PSD as a new composition, as you see here, and all the layers, all the shapes are in here. And as you see here, it's really flexible, and you have a lot of control and fine control over your PSD and the content of your PSD. And then from here on out, you can just make your edits as necessary, bring it into your scene and such like that. So really straightforward. Let's go ahead and talk about vectors and rasterization now. Now vectors are a little bit different, they behave differently, and they're very common for logo designs and typography, because a lot of people may design their logo in Illustrator and you want to have a vector file so that you can scale it up, scale it down, no pixelation problems, nothing like that, and it's just more customizable and you have more control over the paths within Illustrator. So Illustrator is really common for motion graphics especially, and so I have an AE Tuts logo here, and it is 543 by 155, and it is an AI file, so an Illustrator file. And when I import it into After Effects and just drag it into the timeline here, you can see that we just have our plain AE Tuts logo. So in Illustrator, when you scale something up that you created within the application that's a vector file, it's going to retain its sharp, crystal clear edges and stuff like that. It's not going to be pixelated. Now watch what happens when I scale up the AE Tuts vector logo here. As you see, we get these really ugly, blurry, unsharp edges here, and it's not rasterizing and it's not retaining its crystal sharp edges here like Photoshop. But this is a vector file, so what's going on? Well, After Effects does this by default to save you some memory and resources on your computer, but you can actually enable rasterization, continue rasterization, by clicking on this little sun icon here, as you see here. For vector layers, it's continuously rasterizing the layer here. So once I click this little icon for the layer, you can see that we have our crystal sharp edges once again, and things are being rasterized once again, and it's just like Illustrator. And this is really extremely helpful for a logo design where you'll be getting really close to your logo and doing some animation with your logo, and you don't want those really ugly, blurry, pixelated edges. So that's how you work with PSDs, and that's generally how you import and work with vector files if needed within After Effects, and understanding rasterization, how that works within After Effects.